Hey, it's me, Baxter.
And Jonathan.
Casino Guitars. Our series continues with Fender guitars, or some people call it FMIC. No one calls it that. It's just Fender.
It'd be funny if you had a tattoo. FMIC tattoo.
Right over my chest. The year is 1946. The world was not ready for what was to cometh. The tsunami of Fender. Leo Fender, born in 1909, before World War I for you non-history fanatics, which I just don't understand who doesn't know what World War I is. It just drives me nuts. 1914.
That is really crazy to think that he lived through both world wars, and then
he actually served in the trenches.
I mean, that seems like so far removed from like the birth of rock and roll.
It is crazy. So Fender is arguably the most popular and most iconic electric guitar design in the world. You know, the Fender Stratocaster is the guitar that everyone's copied from day one to day 2023, whatever day this is. I don't even know. I don't keep track.
Like, it's probably the most recognizable silhouette of an electric guitar. Just put a Les Paul up, and the average person is like not going to think electric or acoustic. Oh, maybe, it's a guitar. But you put up a Strat silhouette, they're going to think.
And yes, every guitar company has copied it since then.
Yep.
Too. Like, they've all sort of tried their hand at that shape. Even their fiercest competitors have been like, let's try something sort of looks like that for a few. Never mind, let's go back to these things.
Right.
But no, so it was a guitar company that was birthed and built out of innovation.
Yep.
And it's sort of a time of things were sort of status quo, set in stone. This is what a guitar looks like. It's an arch top, hollow body thing, handcrafted, meticulous, shaped, layered maples and things, or solid maples. And Leo Fender's like, I don't want to do that.
Wrong. Boring.
There's a whole history of all this radio repairs. We're not going to dig into that. That's a whole history lesson. We don't have time for that. We want to figure out why the guitars are so popular. Let's get into the design of the guitar.
Okay.
Before we even get into the history of it, the innovation of it. It's a slab piece of wood.
Yes.
It's easy to manufacture.
Yes.
It's much more affordable. You can change the neck on it.
Who needs to glue those necks in?
No longer.
A few screws.
4 bolts until we get into the 60s and 70s. Then we go to 3. Whatever. Whoops. That's another story in itself. We don't need to get into the history of that either. Which is kind of awesome.
It is.
Yeah,
I like it.
People make fun of it. It's cool. Stop making fun of things that are cool. It's like rollerblades. They're cool.
Sure.
Saved by the Bell is cool. Urkel is cooler than Urkel. It is. It's just the way it is.
All true.
No, so it's a guitar that's built on a manufacturing base that's meant to be built for musicians and meant to be repaired, modified, which we all love to modify things. I secretly don't. But most Fender fans love modifying things.
We're sort of strangely united in that. But yeah,
I just like playing them. I'm so lazy. I love Fenders. I'm a Strat guy. You're a Tele guy. I am too.
Yeah, it's true.
Which is weird. So let's talk about, when did this Tele thing get birthed?
The shape was sort of 1950. It wasn't really a Telecaster until 1952. It was
I was going to say an Telecaster, an Esquire, a Broadcaster, a Nocaster into
the Telecaster,
named after the synonymous
television. Oh my God!
The most important thing in my life. In some ways, I love a good TV show, but no, television was a newfangled invention for the wealthy Americans to consume. And hey, why not have a beautiful guitar to match that? At least
propaganda machine. That's what I'd say.
God bless him. I Love Lucy was not propaganda, or The Honeymooners. Classic American. Andy Griffith later. Shush.
Andy Griffith is the shining example of wonderfulness.
James was trying to tell me how the Grateful Dead is a conspiracy and it's a propaganda machine for the government. I'm like,
what?
I was like, don't even tell me your crazy ideas. I'm not listening to you anymore.
I kind of want to know this now.
It's just, and then somebody's going, oh, he's right. No, he's not right. It's absurd. I'm not doing a video on that. It's dumb.
A really fun Andy Griffith conspiracy.
Go quick.
No one in Andy Griffith is married. Think about it. Except the town drunk. Otis is the only guy, the only normal character who was consistently married.
It's not a conspiracy. It just shows like the only sane people to get married are alcoholics.
I just find no
That's
other
really
characters.
Funny. That's a really funny.
It's really funny.
So back to Fender. They've launched this. The world goes, what is this ugly thing? They called it the...
Wait, we're talking about the Telecaster. You said ugly. It threw me off. I was like, what are you...
Not Andy Griffith. He's gorgeous.
Okay.
He's like 30-something in that show, too. Or the Bodor. The Telecaster was this ugly thing. Everyone hated it. They thought it was the ugliest thing ever. Well, except for when it started selling like hotcakes.
Yeah.
And no one could keep their hands off of it because Leo Fender was the genius that would go around and talk to every musician he could find, like, how can I make this better?
Right.
How can I make this better? And he kept doing it, and he did it.
Do you think? I almost think he benefited from not being a player.
I do in some ways as well. He took his ego out of it.
Right. It wasn't a, this is what I want. No, he got a true consensus of what actual musicians, guitar players want.
He almost Steve Jobs it. Don't get mad if you don't like Steve Jobs. It's okay, but
whatever.
He built it for the user, not for the intellectual, like, art idea of this is going to be, it's like, this is what the user needs. In 1954, that other little strange thing came out.
No one cares about this one. Stratocaster.
And then that was named after...
Fade into obscurity.
Yeah, I know. So they stopped making that. Kind of like they stopped the Les Paul, at the end of the 61 or 60s. Like, no, we're not SG always. But no, the Stratocaster, it was named after the space race was happening.
The stratosphere.
It was cool. Spaceships. So let's just do that. These marketing ideas make no sense by today's standards.
They don't. They make zero sense. But it does sort of like it should shoot into space. Where's Elon when we need him?
But they also have the beautiful feminine curve, but the trim system designed of that.
It's kind of amazing.
It's amazing that we have that simplicity of what it is that no one thought of before, and it works better than any other trim system. You're like, no, Floyd Rose is better. That's a whole other conversation. If you are a masochist and you like to cause pain and modifying and tweaking them. No, it's easy. I'm like, yeah, sort of. But no, but also the 3 pickup system that they came up with.
Yes.
Those 3 single coil pickups.
Pretty awesome.
It's pretty awesome. And it was just a 3 pickup selector too. Most people forget that or don't know that. The players are just modified. They get in those little, what has become the 2 and 4 positions. They figure them out by it wasn't set that way. And voila. It's kind of like the tone circuit. The Telecaster wasn't that way until the end of the 60s pretty much. It was this muddy bass mess of nothing when you went to the neck pickup.
That is wild that existed for so long.
But the artists didn't have it. Yeah, they were modding it,
right?
But they just were no, let's keep doing it this way.
That's what the people want.
No, so that's part of the history of Then we have the jazz master, the P bass, but also the other thing that we got to mention is the amplification.
Pretty important part of the story, I would say.
Huge part of the story.
Because even if you didn't play Fender guitars, chances are you were playing a Fender amp.
The sound of what became rock and roll and a lot of country, western, and honky tonk is through a Fender amplifier.
Yeah.
Probably a bassman, maybe a showman, but most of them then a deluxe, then a Princeton, then a twin. These are all these iconic things you've heard about. A Fender came up with those.
And I mean, God, so many of the amps that we still love now that we think are, iconic are started as some kind of modified Fender amp.
The Marsh and the Ull. Both came from they formed Marshall later.
Well, they came together.
Came from the design of the bassman. But no, and we're not doing the history lesson. That's another whole video. But without George Fullerton, this whole thing doesn't exist. He came in and helped shape the entirety of what we know as Fender. It's amazing. And this is a 20-year run. Not even 20 years.
Not even 20 years.
It was before they sold to CBS, and things kind of went a little bit haywire for a bit.
I mean, even if you count it from 46, it's only 19 years until 65, right? I mean, it's crazy.
But let's jump into now. We've talked about the guitars. They make these beautiful guitars that are iconic, and you can modify them. You can fix them when they're broken easily. You can take things apart. It's easy to fix. But who played these guitars?
Everyone.
I know. The true innovators of the time, too, from starting with Buddy Holly and the Crickets.
It's fun. I mean, he was, but it's funny to hear you call him an innovator. But he absolutely was.
He was. I know. It's today we're oh, Buddy Holly, so good. The guy full of glasses. One of the top songwriters and creators. And he was playing this thing, and nobody's seen this.
Right.
What was that? Then go later with these guys. That weird guy, Jimi Hendrix.
Oh yeah.
He used something.
Strange hair.
Strange-haired man that caught things on fire. But no, his ability to do and manipulate sound through this strange Stratocaster could not have been on other instruments.
No.
It shaped him, he shaped it, and he shaped the future blueprint of what we could do. But the point is, rock and roll and Fender were born, and they lived together. And they became this iconic thing. The other competitors out there, Gibson also lives in that classic rock area as well. But Fender really captured the minds of the innovators.
For sure.
And the new ones, they still do.
I was going to say, still. Obviously, maybe not for talking about metal or something, but if you go to indie rock and big pop festivals, most of the new upcoming artists who are doing weird new things, cool things,
No, from like
Fender
Steve
guitars.
Lacy to David Gilmour back in the days of Pink Floyd, it's like it's an instrument that it really does. It's like, and it's one of those small things. And I remember feeling it for the first time. I used to be a completely Les Paul guy, and then when I played my first Strats that were good, I was like, oh, my hand's on the body of the guitar. Like there's a weird thing, like, you know, the Gibson, you're sort of lifted up.
Right.
The bridge sort of keeps you separated. With that Fender, you're touching the wood again when you play.
That's
like
good.
everywhere.
That's a weird. Yeah.
There was this weird connection I felt to the instrument again that I didn't have with other instruments. You know, when I played Gretsch, which I love a Gretsch, but I'm definitely disconnected.
You're up. Yeah.
And then I played those old like 1952 Gibsons, which were really cool with that crazy trapeze tailpiece. You're like, you're really up.
Yeah.
You're like walking a tightrope. But no, it's just that part sort of fascinated me, and it really brought me to love the instrument more than I ever thought I could.
Right.
Now the obviously the resale and your value invested with Fender still maintains too. As a collector, we look at the Fenders up to 1965, sort of the 1954 to 64 period. Their prices, you know, besides the illustrious bursts, you know, of the Gibson, those are the outrageously expensive of those 1,400 guitars ballpark that we know about. But Fender guitars of that sort of golden period are worth substantially more than any other guitar, like out there. You know, it's crazy.
Which is wild when they were created to be sort of not budget friendly, but you know what I mean, like attainable and modular and all that kind of stuff.
Even like the 65 to 69 now is worth quite a bit.
Yeah.
You know, I remember like watching the Jazz Masters and Jaguars and the custom colors, just sunburst, skyrocket over the past 4 years.
Because there was a point where you're like, oh, I could still get one of these for reasonably
$3,500
like,
maybe.
You know what I mean? Like a cool old vintage, you know, Jazz
Try
Master
10 to
Jaguar.
15,000 now.
Yeah.
And then even the 70s stuff is starting to do the slow creep up the hill.
It's getting there.
And it's really fascinating. So I think you have a little value protection there.
Yeah.
No, if you're buying like a new thing with any manufacturing thing, it does this little dip, then hopefully you can hang on to it. But the classic pieces we're talking about, it's pretty special. The versatility and your sonic nature of the Fenders are all over the place too. Whereas like, you know, the humbuckers kind of live in a world.
Right.
But like, you know, if we jump even from Tele to Strat,
Yeah.
night and day.
That's quite a bit different.
Go to the Jaguar, night and day again. Then what's this weird Jazz Master with the big pieces of soap stuck in it with pickups? A whole other thing, which I love. I just put in a custom order for a friend's Jazz Master today. I'm very excited about. It's a very cool tangerine colored one. A little more dark to it. I'm excited. And I got to spec out like a little bit of an underwind on the bridge pickup so I can get a little more warmth in there.
Nice.
I just get excited when I get to do a good Jazz Master.
Very cool. I like it.
That graffiti yellow one we did a while ago was
That was awesome.
So that's like, it kind of sums it up in a weird way. Like
I think so.
The history, the legacy, the innovative nature of the Stratocaster to Telecaster to Jaguar to Jazz Master, everything that came out was super innovative.
Yes.
At the time. You have to imagine this all came out within like a 10-year period. All those pieces. Oh, let's not forget the basses. Electric bass is Fenders. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to leave that to the end. But we did.
That was a new thing. Like that didn't exist. Yeah.
No, that's why they had that Telecaster Mud Circle was the bass.
Right.
That was his attempt at doing that. I was like, oh, well, let's just build one instead of having that upright bass. But no. And the fixability and the modifications, and then you have tied to Woodstock and beyond to Buddy Holly, and then the value in that too. And it's part of America. It's like
it is.
Surfing, like the drive-through movie theater, Fender guitars, like, you know, there's certain things that are just like America, and like that's part of it. I mean, I kind of nailed it. I feel pretty good about that.
I feel all right about it.
That's part of why they're so popular, and they sound awesome.
They do sound awesome,
and they're fun to play.
They are fun.
I got to stop buying Stratocasters though.
Nah, just do it.
It's an issue.
Just keep doing it. You should try to just see how many you can amass. Like if you were Joe Bonamassa, but only with Strats.
I just don't have Joe Bonamassa money either. Yeah. I have to pay those things called bills. Yeah, I feel like Joe doesn't have to pay the bills. Yeah. Like that just happens. He's like, you're Joe, you don't pay bills. Mortgage is not for you.
His people do it.
I guess that would be true. When do I get people?
It's probably way down the road.
Do we get people ever?
Probably not.
I feel like we could get people.
Maybe when we're dead.
Well, let us know your thoughts in your journey with the love of Fender. This is a love letter because we love these brands we're talking about in this series. We have a few other ones coming out, so stay tuned. If you like them, just give us a big thumbs up. Click subscribe.
Probably should hit the bell.
The bell does something. I don't know what it does yet.
And make sure you see all of our videos.
Like Clockwork Orange style?
Yes.
Lights it up.
But less scary.
Yeah, movie's not scary. It's funny. It's scary. Because we're doing that to ourselves.
It's a great documentary. Yeah.
It's something. Don't watch it with your kids. The old in and out. Oh my, this is the ultra violence. Thanks again for joining us. Thanks for sharing our love with these guitars and just having fun with this. We love it. I like Jonathan too.
Yeah, it's fun.
And you know what? I think Jonathan likes you. I'm gonna go home now and talk about Indianapolis.
Ooh.
This is a great place to go.
Indy.
Peace be with you.